Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Gut Wrench Podcast. My name is Mocha. This is episode number 106, I do believe. And in today's episode, we will be discussing something that happened in 2002 around this time at the WWE event. As soon as I can find the top of my notes. Okay, we are at an 11/25/2002 Monday Night Raw episode. Now, before I begin this episode, I should preface this by saying that some of the music that I will be talking about, I do not own the copyrights to. And this is preferably not a music review of any sort, but nonetheless it is, however, relevant for me to say something like that so that, if I'm talking about it too much or if I start to talk about it in detail, it's simply because of the fact that I had to do a little bit of research to find what it is that I was looking for in order to really drive home the points that I was trying to make and be as accurate as possible whenever it comes to certain aspects of what I will be talking about. I should also preface this by saying that if you do not want to look at the music that I will be discussing here in just a second, then you don't have to. Do not feel obligated to do so. But if you want to keep an open mind, then go ahead and listen to the soundtracks that I will mention here in just a minute. The highlights package from last week's episode of Monday Night Raw, when RVD pinned Y2J Chris Jericho for an opportunity to win for an opportunity at the World Heavyweight Championship on the next episode of Monday Night Raw. They're showing highlights basically from last week to catch you up as to what's going to happen this week. And something else that I wanted to mention was the fact that, speaking of last week, there wasn't an episode out last week, and this one's extremely late. I do apologize for that, but due to a variety of things, including my hectic work schedule, where it's extremely hard to discern what it is that I'm dealing with right now, but basically they want to keep me from 6 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon. And although that might sound wonderful, great hours or whatever, most of the time I'm doing absolutely nothing, twiddling my thumbs, and they still want me to stay because I guess there's just nothing to do. And whenever I get home, I spend all day trying to get this out, or for that matter, trying to recreate my free time. It's so much. And not only that, but also my phone ended up, not to blame it on my phone or anything, but I had to sign up for a AT&T deal in order to actually get the service to do this. Even though I paid my phone bill through December, and it's a non-refundable transaction, because phone service you really can't get your money back from. I don't know what happened to my old phone. Either it had a magnet ran by it, or it was exposed to a magnet for too long. Something had to have happened to it, because it was working fine one day, and then the next day, none of the apps will work, except for, and of course, the only app that would work would be like, hey, I can text somebody, but I can't use fucking YouTube. Why can't I use YouTube? Why can't I use my web browser? And whenever I would try to call the phone provider, they could not give me any answers. We're really sorry for your inconvenience. We're really sorry that your phone is not working. Is there anything else that I can help you with? No, God damn it. And of course, because it's non-refundable service, they practically just took my money and ran. So anyway, seeing as though that no other apps were working, I was under the impression that my phone had been busted, broken, or exposed to toxic metals or something of that nature. So what did I do? I just decided to hop on the Verizon Wireless AT&T plan or something like that, so that I don't even know why. I spend too much time talking about it. Anyway, highlights package from last week's episode of Monday Night Raw. RVD pinned Y2J Chris Jericho to face for an opportunity at the World Heavyweight Championship at next week's Raw. So that was last week, and if you know anything about last week, the fact is that RVD didn't have his phone shut down on him, but what did happen was he was able to beat Chris Jericho. And seeing as though that he did beat Chris Jericho last week, they said that the very next week, someone would get a championship opportunity. And what do you know? 11/25/2022 happened to be the next week, pervert the next week. Because last week, 11, I guess, it'd be 20, so 11/18/2022 is whenever Van Dam would have won that match. Okay, so get prepared for a lot of shenanigans, everybody. A lot of shenanigans. This match is going to go on for way too long, and whenever I say the words, way too long, that's exactly what I mean. As the World Tag Team Championships are on the line, and if the Dudleys win, by the way, they will become this would be their 17th World Championships in their career. Maybe they mean 17 World Championships, like WWE World Championships, but for sure the Dudleys have had many other tag team championship gold that they've been draped in. And it's not just WWE's, it's ECW's, I would say WCW's, but I don't remember the Dudleys being in WCW. Other companies, maybe even NJPW, but I'm not 100% for sure about that. But I do know that they were in ECW for a long time, and they maybe won the tag team championships at least once or twice. Okay. But if they win, then this will be their 17th tag team championships in their career. Dudley Boys, Devon. Okay. Devon with the chop and the Irish whip. And then we get the "We Want Tables" chant. "We Want Tables" chant. Bubba off the tag keeps Christian in the corner with the right hands. A Stinger splash on Bubba, and off of the corner splash and the neck breaker, he only gets a 2 count, and then tags to Devon. The They hit a flapjack on Christian, and upon doing so, JR on commentary says, "Shades of the Midnight Express." More on them later, provided that I remember to talk about them. Flapjack on Christian, then Jericho breaks up the pin, and the referee tells him to go stand and wait for his tag, because Jericho comes in, even though he's not the legal man, and he practically saves the match. Jericho gets a 2 count on Devon after dropping some elbows after Christian makes the tag. So, yeah, Christian makes the tag into Jericho. Jericho drops some elbows. He only gets 2 count. Neck breaker on Devon. Neck breaker by Devon on Christian, rather, because Jericho tags out. Double hot tag. Both men come in, try to feel the momentum. That's what a hot tag is. And Jericho takes an Irish whip in the corner and a back body drop on both the tag team champions, Christian and Chris Jericho. Off the modified T-bone suplex, he hits Jericho with Devon. Goes for a pin, but only gets a 2. Devon with an inside cradle, small package, but he only gets a 2 count. We want tables chants from the crowd. Jericho picks up the win for his team in a rather controversial manner. Now, before, I love pointing this out whenever it happens, whenever I'm taking notes, and then I'm like, I know what happened. They don't even have to tell me, because I'm so good at my job. Ooh, I'm so good at this. Sometimes I like to pat myself on the back and be like, yeah, I'm a real wrestling guru or whatever. So Jericho had won the match, basically, but in a controversial manner. You see, whenever both men have their, in a wrestling contest, have their shoulders on the ground, whenever the referee counts, usually in collegiate wrestling, it's only a 1 count. It's just a pin, and then the ref will recognize it as a pin, and then after he recognizes that it's a pin, the round's over. But we're not in collegiate wrestling, so it's a 3 count for the professional wrestling. Anyway, off the 3 count, Jim Ross says that it's rather controversial, but he doesn't mention why. However, I just put down on my notes, whenever he does mention that it is controversial, that Jericho goes for a certain pin. Whenever he does, however, he doesn't keep his shoulders off the ground. See, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to bridge so that your shoulders are off the ground and your opponent's shoulders are the only ones on the ground. However, the referee only counted 1 set of shoulders to the ground, not even looking at Jericho's shoulders. The only shoulders that the referee was looking at was Devon's. He counts the 1, 2, 3, and technically this match should have ended in a draw, in which case the tag team champions would have still retained their championships. Had that been the case, however, and had they would have won by, well, they wouldn't have won. It would have been a tie. No winner, no loser. That's how this match should have ended. However, I wrote down that they retained their championships because I was a little too early with this one. I didn't see Chief Morley coming out. As of last week, Chief Morley signed with Eric Bischoff's cabinet, and his first rule back in charge is that this match we seen get restarted due to controversy. I put controversy in air quotes because there's really nothing controversial about it if you think about it. You know, it would have been controversial if Jericho would have low-blowed maybe Devon Dudley while the referee wasn't looking. Would have been controversial if Jericho would have poked him in the eye, maybe, It would have been controversial if Jericho would have made him bleed or spit in his face or, something like that. That would have been a little bit controversial. But using the word controversial is light work, I guess you could say. But anyway, he restarted it due to controversy. But he said he was going to be fair. He said he was going to be impartial. But this isn't fair, because had that would have been the case, he would have just, if it was fair, he would have said, hey, why are you referee? This match ended in a tie and a draw. Look at the footage. It's a draw. It's not a win for the tag team champions. So add a draw to their record, something like that. Something of that nature. And then we would have recognized that they scored the same amount, so to speak, because in wrestling there is no overtime. I guess in the collegiate sport there is, but once again, we're not talking about that. Jericho and Christian look like they're going to throw up when Chief Morley says restart the match. And we restart the match. Here's what happens. Samoan drop on Jericho, and Jericho quickly makes the tag, and so does Bubba Ray Dudley. We get the "We Want Tables" chants, now even more than ever. After throwing Jericho outside, he hits the 3D neck breaker, and they win. The Dudleys win the tag team championships. So, of course, I give it 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was a pretty good contest, and then I thought to myself, you know what? No, I mean, okay, you restart the match. Sounded pretty good to me. Pay attention to what I just said, though. Okay, so Jericho, on the first restart, Jericho had Bubba Ray Dudley pinned. Chief Morley is a conniving little bastard. I say that Jericho had Bubba Ray pinned before what I said was that it was a draw. So controversial as it may be, I guess controversial should be used lightly, but that's not the point. As controversial in air quotes as it may be, Jericho would have still retained his championship rather. Oh my God, man. What is it with these people? Can't they just fuck off? There's like 3 different roads that they could take. It's not important. But Samoa drop on Jericho, and Jericho quickly makes the tag, and so does Bubba. So Bubba and Jericho both were in the ring at this time. Bubba makes the tag, so does Jericho. We get the "We Want Tables" chants. Back to what I was saying, right? Throwing Jericho outside, they hit the 3D neck breaker on Christian, and they win. The Dudleys win, right? So you're probably wondering, okay, what's the problem? Well, the problem is that Chief Morley over here comes out, and then he demands that we restart the match again because there's more controversy. You see, I don't really know, because I didn't write it down, who it was that got the pin on Christian. All I know is that Jericho was outside. However, Chief Morley comes out, whatever he does. He ends up saying something along the lines of, well, you see, what had happened was, basically making excuses or whatever. And he says, well, I don't think that Devon and Christian were the legal men. And he's right. Jericho and Bubba apparently were the legal men in this match, despite Bubba tagging out to Devon and throwing the legal man Jericho outside the ring. So technically Bubba was the legal man, as written here on my notes. And I don't know, I'm sort of arguing with myself. I never went back and watched it either. I was just like, oh my God, you gotta be joking. They just won the tag team titles. Do we really need to restart the match again? And that's exactly what he says. Restart the match. And I'm like, this should have ended in a draw. This match is gone on way too long. Chief Morley then comes out to restart the match because apparently Bubba wasn't the legal man. And I find an issue with that because he most definitely was the legal man. He started the second half of the match. And I didn't remember in the playback before the pin of Christian. Okay, so he did pin Christian. So that must have been Chief Morley's thing, you know, because I didn't. He most definitely was the legal man. And that was what was foreshadowing, okay, what's to come with the Chief Morley in charge. Bubba Ray Dudley with the bionic elbow, and now time for the what's up headbutt from the top rope onto Jericho. Christian, like a baseball slide, does a baseball slide onto Devon. Whenever Devon goes to get the tables, Devon puts the table in the ring, but he doesn't get in the ring. So therefore, beside the table is his face, and then Christian goes ahead and slides the table into his face. Because Devon's right outside trying to get the table inside, and then the table is sort of obstructing him trying to get inside. If that makes sense. And it should make sense because I'm the one that said it. For those of you who don't know, that's a common catchphrase that I use around here. Christian had hit Bubba with the tag belts while the referee wasn't looking. And this is what happened. Jericho was able to get the walls of Jericho on Bubba and makes him tap to retain the tag championships. And before I put down another rating for the third half of this match, I waited and seen if Chief Morley was going to come out and say, this match ended in controversy. Restart the match again. But he didn't. He didn't. 3 out of 5 stars. Okay, and then we come back from commercial break, and whenever we do, due to a needed throat, Triple H will not be here tonight. RVD missed the 5-star frog splash, missed his 5-star frog splash, and hit Triple H in his throat at the Survivor Series pay-per-view 8 days ago, according to Jim Ross. And he had a busted trachea. Marlena asks HBK how he's feeling about his first title defense against RVD tonight. She sort of says, how are you feeling about defending your title for the first time in 5 years? And that just makes no sense. He hasn't had the title for 5 years. He just won it 8 days ago. And what she meant to say was, apparently this is his first match in WWE Monday Night Raw in 5 years. And his last match was against Owen Hart, but more about that later. He says, no one deserves this more than RVD, and HBK ends the interview and says he's going to tell him to his face what he expects tonight. Jericho and Christian pour champagne on her. On Marlena, backstage, as HBK walks away. Jericho and Christian come in, and then they're just hot off their tag team victory. They're sort of pouring champagne all over Marlena, and for that matter, they're like, yeah, we're the champs. Yeah, we're king of the world. Nobody can touch us. What are you going to do about it? You know, they're Rick and Mortying it up. Celebration all the way. In the locker room hallway, while walking down the hallway, Jericho tells his tag team partner, Christian, he thinks it's bullshit that Scott Steiner interfered in his match against RVD last week. Because had it not been for that stupid, disgusting Scott Steiner, I would be the number one contender facing off against Shawn Michaels, not that Rob Van Dam. And he said, you know what? We need to go do something to Scott Steiner tonight. And then Christian's like, yeah, we should poison his sushi. And then Jericho's like, I don't want to kill him. Food poisoning is real. Then the Dudleys show up to the locker room hallway and go in the locker rooms where the two members of where the two tag team champions just went to. So the champions said, the segment closes by them saying, hey, I'm going to go take a shower. And then Christian said, yeah, I'm going to go take a shower too. So Christian and Chris Jericho said that they're going to go take a shower. And then after that, opposite them, on the other side of the hallway, here comes Bubba and here comes like Devon. And then they're like, we almost had him. We had those championships won. Then Chief Morley came in and he's like, Devon, you got to calm down, bro. I got an idea. And then after that, we get this Test versus Steven Richards. Nice backdrop by Steven Richards. By Test. Steven Richards gets some air. Richards with the 2 count on Test. JR, what a big night we have for you, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, we get the perverted old man, Jerry the King Lawler. He says, big? Nothing's bigger than Stacy Keibler's puppies, but maybe her legs. Because Keibler is the valet for Test, and she's wearing this shirt that says, I heart my testicles, because apparently Test calls his fans his testicles. It's so weird. Anyway, JR on commentary, I think it was, said that her legs are apparently 41.5 inches long. I'm under the impression that she wears those like high-heeled boots to give her a lot of to give her like a lot of, height on that. But if you haven't seen Stacy Keibler's ring entrance, it's rather sexual, if you will. Because the cameraman used to do this thing wherever he would almost like, you would have to been there, I guess. But almost every time that you see Stacy Keibler, the cameraman would try to get that good shot of like between her legs. It's rather sensual or whatever, but like I said, you would have had to have been there. It reminds me a lot of what Velvet Sky used to do too. Tilt-a-whirl slam, and then a kick out by Steven Richards. Test hits a tilt-a-whirl slam is what I should say. Off the face buster, we only get a 2 count, does Steven Richards. Test hits the crossroads on Richards and wins. They don't call it the crossroads, but that's exactly what it looks like in quick fashion. 2.5 out of 5 stars. Yes, it was entertaining, but did get complacent, or at times, though, where was it? There was an illegal wrestling maneuver in a low blow. In the corner, Chief Morley, I didn't see you come out to restart this match. So basically there was a low blow in the corner that I didn't write down on my notes for one reason or another. And Chief Morley, of course, doesn't come out to restart this match. And I guess that's a rather odd inconsistency, wouldn't you guys say? A backstage segment stars Jericho and Christian getting out of the shower, and in doing so asks the locker room where their bags are. And Jericho and Christian run after Devon Dudley. They're outside the dressing room yelling, "Give us our stuff. We're naked out here. This isn't funny." And I have to disagree with that assumption, because I do agree that it is in fact funny. And they've got nothing but towels wrapped around their midsection. And they're saying, "Oh my God, we're so naked. Let us back in the locker room." It's hilarious. And I'll be back right after this short commercial break. And we're back. Thank you all so much for joining me once again. My name is Mocha. This is the Gut Wrench Podcast, episode number 106, I do believe. And here's what we were talking about was where are their bags? Jericho and Christian start running after Devon Dudley. They're outside the dressing room yelling, "Give us back our stuff. We're naked out here." And they're saying stuff like, this isn't funny. And I have to disagree. That's extremely funny. And I was laughing so hard. But anyway, then we cut to sexy Stacy Keibler kissing Test in a full-on makeout session. As Victoria comes up behind her, and Victoria covers Stacy's mouth and tells her not to scream. Then licks her earlobe and says that she, quote, likes her taste of fear. She likes her taste of fear. Not sure what fear tastes like, but anyway, on commentary, they went ahead and called her like, "Oh man, she's so insane, and she's so unhinged. Oh my God." And Jerry Lawler says something funny. He says, "You know what I heard, JR?" And then JR reluctantly says, "What's that?" And then, of course, Jerry Lawler says, "For every woman that's crazy, there's a man that made her that way." But in my opinion, like, I've seen people do Victoria's gimmick better. Objectively, I'm sure that some people think that Victoria's crazy or psycho gimmick is somewhat commendable or respectable, but to me, I think AJ Lee nailed it right on the head. I think R-Truth did it a lot better than Victoria does hers. I mean, Truth went as far as to like talk to himself when there was no one there. His lips were moving every time that the camera was on him. And it looked like that he was looking like to his left and to his right as if he was referring to someone. And then we go to our next contest. Now, this was supposed to be a match, but for some reason it just turned into a small segment. as Christopher Nowinski, the only wrestler to ever have graduated Harvard in WWE back then, versus Maven. Now, the reason that I say back then is, of course, because now we have David Otunga, who also graduated Harvard, even though for some reason David Otunga was like 2010, 2008. And back then, people like JoJo and, what's her name? Lillian Garcia and, Justin Roberts would say that he's the only Harvard graduate to ever, wrestle in WWE or something like that. Otunga would also be, like, prominently featured in, like, other magazines and stuff of that nature, as well as, like, be on CNN a lot and MSNBC. But anyway, Maven starts unblocking his right hand on Nowinski, unloading rather, because he starts talking about his mother being sick. It's not like he was making yo mama jokes or anything. He's talking facts. But JR on commentary said that it's uncalled for what Christopher Nowinski said about Maven's mother. Just said that she was sick, and he didn't mean sick in a perverse way, like sick in the head. He just meant she's stricken with illness. Condolences when concludes when Christopher Nowinski, the first Harvard graduate to join WWE at that time, hits Maven with a book, then sort of is some sort of prop that he came out with at that time, especially during his entrance. I guess it's something like the Godfather's cane or the big boss man's nightstick. But before that, more shenanigans from Christian and Chris Jericho. They come back from a commercial break when Jericho comes up to what seems to be someone from the production crew, or for that matter, the stagehands in the WWE, and someone knows, for some unknown reason, asks him why he's laughing, proceeds to flex on him by quite literally flexing on him, and then telling him that he's just jealous because he wishes that he was a gorgeous hunk of man like he was, like Jericho is. Of course, referring to himself. Jericho saying, hey, you wish that you were a hunk of man like I am. Christian tells Jericho that he didn't find their bags, but he, being held by the Dudleys. Currently being held by the Dudley boys. He did find something that they could go into the locker room area. He opens up the door and he finds a duffel bag and a suitcase. They're presumably open. They start critiquing the fashion of the duffel bag / suitcase, saying how stupid of a fashion sense that these are. They look at a few t-shirts and ask, did they get a free bowl of cereal with this t-shirt? What the fuck? When Rico and Jamal show up, Jericho, of course, changes his tune because he's looking at a 330-pound Samoan who can quite possibly break him in half. And then Jericho then says, but it looks good on you. Of course, pointing at Jamal. And then there shortly after, Rosie and Jamal show up. as we go to our second, what they say is our second of our third main event, because there are 3 championship matches, despite one of them being the opening contest. Quite clearly not a main event, but whatever. Who's keeping score here? Trish Stratus versus Victoria, and Victoria is the women's champion, and this is a women's championship match. Now, earlier on in the contest, however, I did talk about how there would be a discussion of music. I'm unable to determine at this time, but I have a strong suspicion that thanks to WWE's censorship, as well as Peacock's censorship, Victoria's music has probably been dubbed over for one of 2 reasons. Reason number 1, this is a copyright infringement issue. Odds are the company, such as WWE, purchase rights to a certain song to be used for a certain superstar. It holds its purchase right on that copyright, it holds that copyright when they are an active part of the roster, or for a considerable amount of time, depending upon how contracts work or anything of that nature. Or WWE making a purchase for a new contract on the royalty that copyright said music. The second reason is because it's rather controversial. It's a rather controversial song, and it is in this case. Being that the title of the song and the artist, All the Things She Said, by an artist known as Tattoo, and it's spelled weird. It's spelled like T-A-T-U, if you wanted to look it up. Not Hurst's song specifically, Victoria's mix of the song, but rather the song itself, if you haven't heard it. Most of the world, as we know it, is somewhat religious, whether that be Christian religious, or whether that be religious in a religious sense, Jews, or for that matter, Protestants, or even Buddhist, anything of that nature. And in most of these religions, it's not really like you can just go out and live your life, so you have to live your life by a certain guideline. And if that's the case, most of the world, as I stated before, is rather Christian. They abide by the Christianity law, or the book of Christianity, because it is God's word. It's the law. Anyway, like I said, it's spelled weird. I think that it's spelled T-A-T-U. It's a 90s female rock band that I could do research on, in that which they talk about the content of the song. She's coming out as of the closet, as being lesbian. Some lyrics to the song is like all the things she said, running through my head. It basically entails, I'm not going to sit here and sing it for you guys, but it basically entails the struggle of a lesbian woman living in the world, and the world is critiquing her, and then she's basically struggling with the fact that do I do this for me and my happiness? I can't help how I feel, about this other woman, and she feels the same way about me. We love each other. Or do I stick to the normal wife and husband thing, even though it's going to make me considerably, like I'll be settling for second place, but I'll make everyone around me happy, because, and I just hope that they understand that I'm happy with her and that she's happy with me, like that's the gist of the song. If you wanted to go do some research on it, or for that matter, listen to it. Once again, the name of the song is All the Things She Said, and it's by Tattoo, T-A-T-U. Content of the song is she's coming out of the closet as lesbian. Keep in mind, this is in 2002. The song itself came out in maybe 1998, 99. But the episode of wrestling that we are presumably watching in 2002, what I'm saying is WWE probably didn't want to be associated back in the day, back in then gay wasn't exactly, they didn't exactly have rights. It was very frowned upon and feel that way for a person of the same sex or the same gender. Ultimately, my religion, as I am a Satanist, is to believe that people who live their lives the way that they want to live them without restrictions, as long as it's not hurting anyone, then I say live and let live, allow them to live their lives the way that they would choose to live their lives. Love is limitless. Love is regardless of race, gender, nationality, religion, creed, you know, income, anything of that nature. I say love as you will. My point wasn't exactly the Salem witch trials of wasn't exactly the Salem witch trials of homosexuals, but at the same time, it's deeply frowned upon, knowing that what I didn't know, but if you would like to listen to the full song, of course I put the name of the song, All the Things She Said, by Tattoo. And the video itself probably has over 900 million views nonetheless. Sorry for the small detour. I figured it was worth mentioning that they had dubbed over because from what I could find on YouTube as of December 23rd of that same year, Victoria still had the same theme music on YouTube. It's not dubbed over. It's funny how YouTube can show clips that aren't dubbed over, yet they don't own a copyright to the music. Like they sure might have the permission of WWE, but a third party through YouTube. How exactly does that work? Because YouTube is the platform, like Peacock. You see what I'm getting at here. Women's championship match, nonetheless. Victoria, our women's champion at this time, was beaten her opponent, Stacy Keibler. I'm unsure who won the match. They didn't exactly specify in the highlights package. When Trish Stratus showed up and started beating up Victoria, then Stevie Richards showed up and hit her with a double arm DDT. Trish Stratus got hit with a double armed DDT by Stevie Richards. Victoria only gets a 2 count off of the diving elbow. Trish into only gets a 2 count. I don't know why it only says into. Trish off the into. Oh, okay. Enzuigiri. Oh my god, I'm so stupid. That's why I put that there. I should have put a fucking key so that I would have known that. But I can't spell Enzuigiri, so of course. Commentary starts to make fun of Christian and Chris Jericho. Jerry Lawler asks JR if he would open his trunk and give Christian and Chris Jericho some of his clothes. Jerry Lawler states that I'm sure you could find your overalls, and JR remarks that he went to Oklahoma last week and he doesn't even wear overalls. Doesn't make any sense. Why would, I get it. Christian, Chris Jericho are getting the blunt of this whole, running around the locker room with nothing but a towel on. It's hilarious. Trish takes a nice looking bridge pin, but Victoria was able to kick out at 2. Victoria throwing Trish back in the ring after she got thrown outside and goes for multiple pin attempts and gets multiple near fall 2 counts. Multiple 2 counts, even going as far as to argue with the referee. According to Victoria, Trish slept her way to the top of every job that she's ever had. And the story rivalry between these two is that they used to be former fitness models, and Victoria would always get a lesser role of something that Trish would get. Victoria is under the impression that she is more talented and, for that matter, prettier, maybe than Trish, but beauty is in the eye of the beholder, not really fact or fiction type of move. Just automatically determines whether a woman is or a girl is attractive or not. Trish with several pin attempts, but only gets near falls. I'm not sure why that says count near falls. It doesn't make any sense. Jerry Lawler says Christian, and he just won't shut up about this Christian and Chris Jericho thing. Jerry Lawler says that Christian and Jericho are tag team champions and they're walking around the locker room naked. He goes on to say, I used to have a dream about what in high school. Doing that in high school, I'm so sorry. Oh my God, lost my place. From a psychological standpoint of dreams where you are naked, it's usually subconsciously trying to tell you that this is a fear of being exposed. So if you have any sort of dirty laundry, so to speak, metaphorically speaking, of course, I'm not talking about actual dirty laundry. You're throwing your dirty laundry in the clothes hamper and then, or for that matter, in the dryer or the washer, and you're standing around the fucking, I don't know, what do they call those? Laundry mat? Yeah, you're standing around the laundry mat and nothing but a towel, Then I guess it's just subconsciously trying to tell you that you have a fear of being exposed about some dirty laundry. Metaphorically speaking, of course, not actual dirty laundry. Can you just imagine literally someone finds your dirty laundry and then they just sniff it? And then it's like, ooh, make fun of him. Trish off the clothesline only gets a 2 count. Trish Stratus off the roundhouse kick, she commonly refers to as the, quote, chick kick, only gets a 2 count. Standing moonsault by Victoria only garners a near fall. Once again, she only gets a 2 count. Victoria hits her signature maneuver. It's commonly referred to as the Widow's Peak, and she wins. And once again, all the things she said is dubbed over, but I'm under the impression that there's something more there. 4 out of 5 stars. It was nice paced action. I enjoyed seeing a lot of it. It was really entertaining. Wasn't too stale. And also Victoria retains her championship, I forgot to mention. Shawn Michaels segment where he approaches Rob Van Dam and proceeds to tell Van Dam that he likes his style of wrestling, and he goes on all in order to put on a show. As a matter of fact, RVD, you remind me of a younger Shawn Michaels. Shawn then goes on to say, RVD, has something that he wants. And RVD then remarks back saying that Shawn has something that he wants. That world championship. He wants the world championship. Michaels then goes on to tell him that he's missing one thing. And then he slaps him really hard. So Michaels slaps RVD really hard. And simultaneously, almost without hesitation, RVD slaps Shawn Michaels straight the fuck back too. And then they intently stare at each other, looking in each other's eyes. And Shawn Michaels says, "Now you're speaking my language, kid." After he just got slapped. We come back from commercial break, and more shenanigans ensue between Jericho and Christian, who are walking around the locker room area, backstage, production area, to be more specific. And Christian says he's worried about shrinkage. And then he goes on to look down at the towel. He's worried about the little generals that's going into retreat, he says. He's pointing at his midsection, as you would expect him to, because apparently WWE can't go 5 minutes without making a wiener joke. Now the Dudley boys are seen on camera in the backstage area on a TV monitor, as the rest of the roster is gathered around said TV monitor, and the Dudleys appear to have the bags that were stolen earlier on in the night, and they're going outside to the fucking ring area. And Bubba Ray Dudley then goes on to say in the microphone on live television, asking the people of Charleston, South Carolina, who wants some free clothes. Bubba Ray Dudley then goes on to throw a t-shirt into the crowd. Jerry Lawler commentary goes on to say that you can't catch it. You can't catch that shirt. That's receiving stolen property. If you think about it, it's on live television. Receiving stolen property, it's damning evidence. It's video evidence. Jerry Lawler on commentary says that Christian is going to suffer shrinkage. As sure as Devon throws his pants into the crowd, Devon doesn't throw his own pants into the crowd. He throws Christian's pants into the crowd. Bubba Ray Dudley goes through the bag of, presumably, okay, he goes through this bag, right? Here comes like the funniest part, I think. Yeah, this is the funniest part. Seeing as though that I'm keeping up with the shtick that's what's happening on commentary, has told me presumably this is Chris Jericho's bag, and Bubba Ray Dudley pulls out a jar of ass cream. Okay, I did not say ice cream. I said ASS, ass cream, and asks the audience, who wants a jar of ass cream? Whenever I was taking my notes, and usually I use text to speech. Usually whenever I use text to speech, and then I was using text to speech, and then I was writing the segment down. Sorry about that. Someone came into my house, even though it's almost 10 o'clock. Okay, but back to what I was saying. Whenever I was taking my notes for this certain episode, what ended up happening was every time that I would say the word ass cream, for whatever reason, my text to speech would always say ice cream, and it would always put down ice cream. I thought that was pretty funny. I was like, no, not ice cream. So, anyway, but a lot of you might be asking yourselves, though, what exactly is ass cream? Because I know I've never heard of it. I mean, technically, I've heard of butt cream, but that's for like diaper rash. So unless Jericho has a bad case of diaper rash, it was so funny. Bubba Dudley pulls this out of the bag that I'm assuming is Jericho's bag, because he says, "What do you do with ass cream?" There's literally a jar in big bold letters that says ass cream. So I thought that was funny. Think it's funny taking my, and then Jericho says, "Christian's jar of ass cream?" And then I'm like, "You idiot, you just told on yourself." The Dudley boys then throw both bags out into the crowd after challenging them to a tag team championships. After challenging the tag team champions, Jericho and Christian, to come down to the ring and get their bag of clothes if they want them so badly, to come and get them. It's kind of hard to do, knowing that they might get a fine for the censors, seeing as though that they're both in towels for the better part of the entire show. Spike Dudley then shows up behind our tag team champions, Jericho and Christian, and Spike Dudley rips off the towels, and the two men and WWE go to a wide shot of the arena, avoiding getting a strike from the network and presumably the censors, as the towel gets ripped off of the two. Jeff Hardy and Hurricane versus William Regal and Lance Storm. Jeff Hardy and Lance Storm start the match, and Hardy gains an early advantage as ambushing Lance Storm before he's able to make it to the ring. Then keeping the pressure by keeping Storm down. Hurricane then gets the tag and the 2 count off the crossbody of the rope. Hurricane hits the choke slam, but only gets a 2 count. Thanks to Lance Storm, tag team partner William Regal breaking up the 3 count. The Shining Wizard on Lance Storm by Hurricane. Funnily enough, the Shining Wizard used to be my finishing maneuver whenever I played WWE 2K14 on PlayStation 3, and I would use Deadpool. That used to be one of my signature maneuvers, even though I put finisher here. Basically, I could hit it from anywhere, and whenever you would hit the Shining Wizard, I thought it was pretty cool because my opponents never seen it coming. They would presumably think that I was going for, you could go for anything. You have like over 190 moves. Why would you pick, the Shining Wizard? And I just thought it was funny because, I didn't pick anything that they would expect me to, like the RKO or, oh my God, he's going for the AA or the DDT or anything like that. I was just like, you know what? I'm going to just hit them with something that they won't see coming so that they can't reverse it. And the time window to reverse the Shining Wizard was very small. So unless you knew it was coming, and off the first match, you wouldn't know that it's coming. But presumably, if I hit it one time, then they're down for the 10 count, and I could just win off of that. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Jerry Lawler wants to rename the Shining Wizard and call it the Scolding Dog. He also wants to know if JR just made up that calling it the move, the Shining Wizard. And then he said, "No, I can assure you, I didn't just make it up." Hurricane taps out from the sharpshooter. Jerry Lawler on commentary doesn't seem to understand why Lance Storm is using the sharpshooter finishing maneuver. But Jericho explains a little bit in his book that, fortunate for you guys, I had the insight to read years prior. Jericho and Lance Storm both used to be in a tag team known as the Thrillers, and they trained in the Hart Family Dungeon. Jericho said in his book that he was under the impression that it was an actual dungeon, but it was just some old man's decrepit basement, and the training with Stu Hart was some of the moves that you may or may not have picked up along the way were the ones that you would use primarily. And of course, Jerry Lawler has to rebuttal, does everybody in Canada just use the sharpshooter? What an idiot. 3 out of 5 stars. I didn't put any notes here, but they proceed to show clips from Shawn Michaels that took place on Monday Night Raw almost 5 years prior, in December 1997, and it was the last time Shawn Michaels had a wrestling match on Monday Night Raw, and it was against Owen Hart. They referred to Owen in the past tense, calling him the late Owen Hart, which since then the Blue Blazer has since been deceased. Everyone was expecting Dave Batista to show up, but instead Dave Batista, they had Ric Flair come out and proceed to tell Kane that he's lucky that he didn't get slapped last week, obviously referring to something that happened in the previous week that I'm unaware of, because they showed no clips of it. Batista ambushes Kane, throws him in the ring, and the bell rings to begin the match. Dave Batista ambushes has taken control using powerhouse moves like spine busters, shoulder thrusts, clotheslines. Anyway, once again, they had to leave my house. It's fine. Everything's fine. So we're going to go ahead and go straight into it. Thanks to the assist for Ric Flair, with a steel chair shot on Kane, Batista hits the Batista bomb while the referee is down. The referee conveniently wakes up to count the 3, 1 out of 5 stars. This match was literally interference-ridden, bugged with interference. It was slow, all around, just wasn't that good. Now we see a play on CNN, but instead of CNN breaking news, we get a report from Randy Orton with the RNN injury report, who claims to say that he would like to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving, and even though his shoulder is hurt, or his arm is broke, something of that nature. Now, I can't be for sure which time this was that he hurt his arm or his collarbone or whatever, but in his own admission, Randy Orton had a lot of demons whenever he made as much money as he did in his rookie year, and in prior interviews since he's wisened up and whatever, he's talked about the fact that he doesn't want to talk about it because he has kids now, and he doesn't want them to know about his past. But basically, there was one time, and now I don't know if this was the time that he broke his shoulder here, or whether or not it was something else. But there was one time where he got drunk and on a motorcycle attempted to do like an Evel Knievel like type, ramp jumping, and he broke his shoulder or his elbow or his collarbone or something. But anyway, Randy goes on to say that he'll be back in no time, and he would like to wish all of us a happy holidays and happy Thanksgiving. Also, he would like to send well wishes to those who have been sending him well wishes on WWE.com. Seems like a weird flex, but and a weird way to promote your website. But there's your cheek pop, WWE. Goldust versus Rico. Rico's resume speaks for itself. He is a decorated police officer in Las Vegas and was the first ever winner of the American Gladiators competition. Rico with a near fall. Now, I did not fact check any of this that Rico apparently has accomplished or hasn't accomplished. Goldust Power Slam, he only gets a 2. Goldust then hits the curtain call neck breaker for the 3 count and the win. 2 out of 5 stars. Was a match, made a lot of noise, but I think the crowd is asleep or getting restless because they didn't make much noise. And now we go to our main event, the World Heavyweight Championship match. As champion Shawn Michaels, he is the World Heavyweight Champion versus Rob Van Dam. Interesting food for thought. Rob Van Dam, his entrance music, once again we're going to get into this, is done by a band known as Breaking Point. The song known as One of a Kind. I talked about Victoria's entrance music. A song by the name of All the Things She Said, done by a band named Tattoo, but it's spelled weird, T-A-T-U. Even though the song had been dubbed over, Rob Van Dam, however, they allow his song to play, despite it possibly being a copyright infringement, unless WWE still has a contract with the... I wonder how many contracts WWE just has sitting around that just drains their fucking bank account that they just don't even fucking look at. Because this must be a case of that. Because they have to dub over one song, which, as of December 2002, she was using. This is late November, so there's no way that she just, presumably, within 30 days of me looking at this, I guess I'll have to look at the match from December 23rd, 2022. Should have been a Monday night if I remember correctly, because according to YouTube it was. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that Rob Van Dam's entrance music here, the fear I see when I look in your eyes makes you believe. Fear I see when the back of your mind makes you believe. And the fear I see when I look in your eyes makes me believe. Fear I see in the back of your mind makes me believe I'm one of a kind. Anyway, the shit that I'm trying to say is that also, I don't own any music, presumably, performed by me. Whatever was dubbed over for Rob Van Dam, however they allow the song to play, despite it possibly being copyright or infringement, WWE still has a contract with. Yeah, RVD hasn't wrestled for WWE in a very long time, so I don't know why or how they would even keep the... Just an interesting inconsistency. I would say the same arrangement for Kane in his song done by Figure 11. The song is named Slow Chemical, but I guess I could give it one pass because my knowledge, it was created. You know, maybe it's one of those songs, maybe One of a Kind was made just, maybe they just paid for that song so that they could have it for Rob Van Dam. That's the only possible experience, just like Figure 11, Slow Chemical. I wonder if the same thing happened here. Yeah. The bell rings twice. Just like the Ember Moon face-off against Shayna Baszler, as I talked about in a previous episode. I talked about, constantly made a joke to the fact that not only did the match only begin because, you know, the bell rang once, but also, of course, it ended because the bell rang twice. But, you know, I'm just making an inconsistency joke here about the timekeeper not knowing when to ring the goddamn bell. You ring the goddamn bell whenever both of them are in the ring, not whenever the entrance music is about to play and the fucking announcer's about to say, the next entrance is scheduled for one fall. The first time is to start the match, and the second time is to stop the match. It's once again another inconsistency I guess I'm going to have to knock points off for. HBK chants as the crowd... I'm sorry. HBK chants by the crowd as this match gets underway. And these two start the filling out process, start to filling each other out as Shawn Michaels gets a 2 count on Van Dam. And Van Dam gets a backslide on HBK. Rob Van Dam working the lower back of Shawn Michaels. A well-documented history of Shawn Michaels' lower back is what JR on commentary says. Even though I'm only aware of like 1 or 2 surgeries that he's had. Maybe the one after that one match in, I want to say 99, when it was a casket match, right? Where the Undertaker accidentally threw him over the ropes too hard. And he landed on the blunt of that casket. The small of his back did. Just as RVD looks to be taking control of the match, Shawn Michaels catches one of RVD's knees and does a well-executed dragon screw leg takedown, then starts to exploit Rob Van Dam's by keeping him on the ground. Understand, for those of you who aren't wrestling fans, RVD is known for his flying prowess in the ring as much as a high flyer. So it's going to be hard for him to get most of his offense off. And speaking of exploiting the knee of Rob Van Dam, Shawn Michaels then goes into the center of the ring and ties RVD up in a pretzel in a figure 4 leg lock, shades of Ric Flair. RVD chants start echoing, perhaps to build momentum for the challenger, Rob Van Dam. RVD catches Shawn Michaels in the schoolboy pin attempt and only gets a 2 count. Rob Van Dam dodging shots from Shawn Michaels. His shoulder thrusts in the corner and dodging the clothesline. Hitting HBK with the elbow, only gets a 2 count off the pin attempt and knocks the referee down in the process. RVD avoids the super kick and hits HBK with an attack to get him on the ground. And then the Rolling Thunder Senton, following the pin for the 2 count on HBK. Whenever I said that he hit the referee, by the way, I didn't put this in my notes, but I'm going to have to, I had to remember to say this. He didn't hit the referee on purpose, so therefore Earl Hebner was just in the way. You usually stay out of their way. A DDT. So it wasn't a ref bump technically, you know, because the referee didn't really go down. Whenever I said that he hit the referee, the referee was just on Dream Street. He just wasn't watching where he was going, you know. He was just worried about what he was going to do in Charleston, South Carolina later. A DDT Jake Roberts would be proud of. RVD off of on RVD. Not sure why it says of. HBK, he climbs the top rope looking for that famous diving elbow that he does, that CM Punk used to do. That not Roddy Piper, what's his name? I just forgot Macho Man's name. Macho Man. Yes. Don't know. I said I just forgot Macho Man's name. Randy Savage. There we go. And the elbow drop that Randy Savage used to do is what HBK did here. And he hits him right at the heart, right at that sternum of Rob Van Dam, but he only gets a 2 off the pin attempt. Of course, JR on commentary is like, well, he waited too long. He waited too long to pin him. God damn it. RVD hits the backbreaker that Roderick Strong would be proud of. You know, because he's the messiah of the backbreaker. Do you get it? Then climbs the top rope, and from clear across the ring hits a frog splash, and he hits HBK in the lower back once again, taking advantage of the lower extremities of Shawn Michaels. His well-documented history of back problems that he's had over the years. Hang on 1 second. I just gotta get this next part. Out. Okay. Triple H then shows up and pedigrees Rob Van Dam. If you'll remember earlier on in the program, I told you guys about H having the editor play the damn flashback. Play the damn flashback where I said that H had to be wheeled to the hospital 8 days ago from this match right here, from this date rather, right here. So 8 days ago what did I say? This was the 25th, 20th, 19, 18, 17. So on the 17th, should have been a Sunday, on the 17th rather, of November in 2002. You remember when I told you guys that at the Survivor Series pay-per-view, what ended up happening was Triple H ended up getting like a broken trachea or something because RVD missed his 5-star frog splash. Instead, he hit the knee to H's trachea, busting it or breaking it, or I don't know. They said bruising it maybe, but anyway, whenever that happened, H must have been mad because whenever he came back, the first thing that he did was he showed up and he pedigreed Rob Van Dam, the guy who gave him the busted trachea or the bruised windpipe, on the outside of the ring. Therefore, this disqualification results in Shawn Michaels being the winner of the match due to outside interference. Triple H goes on to make Shawn Michaels suffer a little bit, as Shawn Michaels was laid out vulnerable in the middle of the ring, and H took a backbreaker onto a steel folding chair that was set up, and it was a backbreaker that Roderick Strong would be proud of. You know, like I stated earlier, because Roderick Strong is the messiah of the backbreaker. Thank you all so much for joining me. My name is Mocha. This has been the Gut Wrench Podcast, episode number 106. And yeah, that's basically the entire episode of wrestling. They fade to black, and just like I'm going to do right now, that's a wrap. Good night, everybody. And you can expect an episode from me as soon as I can get it up. Probably Saturday. I'll try to make it Saturday, if not Sunday. And thank you all so much for joining me. Good night. Good night, everybody.